Hi there, Aries. Welcome to Eyes to See Tarot and your January messages. Let's see what we can dig up from Spirit, see if they have anything to say to you, and no. Most concerning area of focus, it looks like some healing and some moving forward. So not only am I kind of putting the past behind me, but there's a possibility that I'm starting to exude the frequency when dealing with others, like it's actually showing. I think people are starting to notice. What else do we have for my Aries? I see some the Hangman in reverse, which could lead me to believe it's, I'd say, kind of stuck or dogmatic, but at the same time, because so much change is happening or kind of permeating from your essence, it's a possibility that it could be a little proud, like I'm maybe forgetting to be just a little humble about it. It's forgetting to look at things from all angles. Like, even if I've changed, I feel the change, I see the change around me, but I might be forgetting that there's some people that haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, it's a possibility. If you're feeling that type of way, just kind of remember to take a step back yet, and remember that, you know, even if some people haven't met the new refined version of you or the healed version of you, it could just be one little thing. I'm only getting that it's basically one little thing. You haven't done a huge major revamp. Like, it wasn't, but it was a very important part to the puzzle, right? And even if they do see the new healed version of you, they don't have to accept it. They don't have to recognize it. It might take them a while to heal, and there's a possibility that you might need to be compassionate during their time. They might not ever. That's the fun part of it. It's not fun. Oh, it's eye twitching. Anyway. Oh, and the Lovers. Okay, so with the Lovers card coming out, there's still some pathways to go. There's still some decisions to be made. There's still some... I think the universe is kind of meeting you where you're at, though. So that's good. I'm getting some nice positive vibes off this reading so far. I want to pat you on the back, and I know that you might... Oh, there's some focus. Oh, it's like you've made a decision, and you're focused on that one thing. And it's good that, because for some of you, what I'm feeling is that it doesn't matter if they see you for who you are. You've made the decision to do this for yourself, not necessarily for recognition or for how they see you or any other reason. This is something that you are doing for yourself. I ain't worried about your opinion. It does not keep me up at night. I promise. The only thing that keeps me up at night is what my next step is, or how to be a better person, right? So yes, really, really awesome vibes coming off of this reading. All right, let's see what we have for my Aries. Let's see what else we have for my Aries. Since it has become apparent, some of you could be becoming parents. That could be in the works. What else do we have for my Aries, please, Spirit? Okay, now that was a little side note because it came out. You see this guy back here? See all his little fruit trees? See all his little fruit trees? They look like little flickering flames or fire, the inner desire, the inner passion, the what sparks my fire, right? My inner desire. There we go. So the thing is that with the Ace of Wands, the Five of Wands, there could be a little bit of struggle. There could be a little competition. There could be, you know, somebody preceded you, or there could be an internal conflict somewhere in there, right? There could be something that is part of the new you, but there was desires or the inner desires to go back and, I don't know, do things like you used to do them, not because of any other reason, but because you were passionate about it. Now, when it comes to things like that, you do understand like interdimensional kind of perception and travel and other things, right? Okay, so the thing is that I can be pretty much the person I'm destined to be if I allow myself to see the joys in other things, right? Okay, now how am I going to explain brutal pain, cutting, right? But I also have a wild side for makeup, right? So I might do microblading for people's brows, because even though I have that inner desire to, it's an inner desire to cut things, I don't have the inner desire to cut myself anymore. And I might as well let it be profitable while I'm making people beautiful. With the same thing that I used to damage myself with, I am now making the world beautiful with and receiving a paycheck. If that makes any sense to you, do make a list of those things that you want to do, right? I once heard this skit about asking kids what they wanted to be when they grew up, and nobody really had realistic expectations, right? But if you ask the same group of kids, what are you good at and what do you enjoy doing, then they can spill out a list of very authentic things that they do enjoy doing and things that they really are good at. And then you can pick, you know, something, a profession that has those qualities in it, and thereby deduce and then feed the child what they should be doing based on their enjoyment level of enjoyment and what they're good at. You understand? Something that they're going to be pleased with in the long run, something that won't ever really become a job, but more like an honor, right? Okay, so I hope you're following me a little bit, but if you have, or if you find on this new path or in this new change that you do have a desire to, and this inner conflict is raging within you, maybe it's just time to step out of that old way of thinking and switch your dimensional view of how you see the world. What is it that I'm good at? What is it that I really enjoy doing? And, you know, couple a couple of those things and see what it is that would encompass those things that you enjoy, or those things that light your inner desire, that isn't hurting other people, isn't hurting yourself, you know, and then does bring you enjoyment. Okay, so I do have an idea that there is a pity poor kind of self-exile too for some of you. I could be, well, I'm gonna leave y'all where y'all at, and I'm just so sad, and I'm just so hungry, and I'm just so broke, but you know, I see that y'all don't want me here anymore, yada yada yada. But it's a manipulation kind of tactic, right? Where I could be utilizing those energies in a much more productive fashion if given the opportunity, right? But for some odd reason, that thing might be the thing that works for me. Do you understand? The thing that I enjoy doing. I kind of enjoy pulling the wool over people's eyes. Maybe it's an acting career that you're actually after, you know, and it doesn't have to be the big silver screen kind of acting, right? It could be that you just want to be around a whole bunch of 3-year-olds, right? And just, I don't know, child psychology. You want to be around those people. You want to be around somebody. And then maybe it's something just like simple, like the street arts, right? Where you put your little mat out and put your little hat out to collect tips and everything, and you become a street performer. I'm not necessarily sure what it is per se, but if you have a tendency, or if there is this idea that that is what it is that you enjoyed most of whatever had you on that dark path or that self-harming path or whatever you're changing from at this time, then maybe it's time to look into this. I do see some blocked communication. I see the Hierophant in reverse. Travel and walking away, right? Oh. If this is a whole, you made your bed, now you've got to lie in it. So if you had found yourself doing that in multiple occasions, the boy who cried wolf or something similar to that, where you found yourself in, like I said, this repeating kind of loop where this is where you're known, or this is what you're known from your family and friends and other situations, that there's a chance that, you know, with the Four of Swords right here, right? And we're having to move away from that, but they're not willing to invest the time and energy and effort in getting you on your feet or helping you out or teaching you the lesson or preaching to you about certain things. They're just not down with it anymore. So that's not even a route that you can go from the past or in your current atmosphere, right? I don't think they'll be having it. With the Two of Swords here in reverse, the Death in reverse, the Moon in the upright, Five of Cups in the upright. There's actually a lot in you that mourns for and remorses that old self, right? Now, I don't know to what level, or the idea to me, I think, is a little bit more like it's just a longing. Like I would like to coddle that older version of myself. And the only way that I can really feel comfortable or to make that older version of myself feel like it wasn't a burden or it wasn't bad or, you know, something like that is to be that again. I'm not ashamed of you. Look, here I am in the flesh. Do you understand? But there are other ways to go about it. It's just as you start to get into the routine of this new changed, profound being, like I said, it didn't look like big changes. It looked like the Ten of Swords in reverse. So it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to healing and transforming, right? Just one sword fell out. There's still 9 more in there to deal with. So we just picked the most obvious, the most easy to change, the most accessible to change, right? And then we change that. Now there's all these other parts of ourselves that, yes, I mean, one bad apple does spoil the whole bunch. But it also works the other way too. I'm just saying that right now might be a really sensitive time for you with this little tug of war, right? Where there is going to be remorse, there is going to be a battle of the wits within yourself that is trying to tell yourself that you weren't wrong, or this wasn't bad, or there was nothing to be ashamed of, because that is absolutely the case. There is nothing to be ashamed of, because once we take our next steps up and once we start that transformation process, that version of us had one of the biggest parts in bringing about that change. So we should actually be very, very grateful for that older version of ourselves. But we should never sit in it because I don't know how to explain how detrimental that would be to any kind of process, right? I do see the Eight of Swords, though, so there are certain things that you are kind of ignoring, or ignoring the red flags on. This could be the whole sensation of going back and getting that thrill, that thing that lights our fire. Well, it won't damage the process, or I've already made this amount of progress, so therefore this amount of backsliding won't damage me, right? I don't necessarily think that I did bring up arrogance, right? Earlier on, like in one of the first little paragraphs, I did bring up some sort of arrogance. I did it, right? Well, I mean, you painted one fingernail, so, I mean, I guess you did it, but you do realize you have 9 more to go, and your toes, right? Got a long way to go. You just started. But there's something in you that feels so successful, and I'm not saying that's bad, but there's something in you that feels so successful, so free, that it's almost like the rabbit in the hare. I've done this, and I've done this so quick, and I've done this so successfully that I can go ahead and sleep under this tree and not have to worry about anything ever again. So it could be that like I said, those positive vibes that I'm picking up on is just elation from you. And it also could be that there's a portion of yourself that is resting on the idea that you successfully moved away from people that, you know, weren't communicative. They weren't very communicative. They didn't know how to talk to you, or they had nothing to offer you in ways of learning or communication or advancements. You understand? But the hidden danger here is an inability to completely transform because of these people. Like, it's almost like you're giving them control over the rest of the change, right? Even so much as to say, well, I made this change and now these people don't talk to me, so I'm not going to do that again. Right? There is a bit of remorse that, like, they say intelligence is very painful, right? They say that there's an idea that ignorance is bliss. Once we start uncovering and digging and learning and working on ourselves, there's going to be a lot more pain as the layers unfold and peel back. So just keep that in mind. If you do need to take a rest, or you do need to take a break, make sure it's not backsliding, but is an actual rest, a break, a reflection, an idea. Give yourself time to absorb the pain that you're dealing with and going through, the differences in thinking, the differences in vibration, the people around you, the people you loved, the people you lost, the people you will continue to pull away from. Because as we're pulling ourselves away from things that no longer serve us, we're actually just getting a little bit closer to the things that do serve us, support us, love us, propel us forward. Bottom of the deck, I do see the World card in reverse, so that leads me to believe that it is a bit of a incomplete cycle. So that's a warning sign for me. It's a big red flag for me that some of you actually, some that will tend to backslide, might backslide back into the same old cycle and system again. But don't we learn that way? I don't know. Don't we just learn that way? Some of us. Don't beat yourself up and don't be so hard on yourselves. I'm right here with you. In fact, this is probably where the second layer, like I said, the second layer of the onion is going to kind of peel back a little bit and probably expose your next jumping point or your next foothold. Because with the Page of Swords in the reverse right after, like I'm obsessed with this first thing, right? And I seem to be putting all my eggs in that one basket, justifying like I'm a complete thing. Well, yes, you are a complete thing, but the journey, the progress, the process has not completed. I see the Queen of Cups. There is more manipulation again, right? And look, if this isn't mirror images of themselves, right? The Five of Pentacles and the Magician in reverse, like I'm alienating myself, or I'm separating myself for manipulation purposes, to kind of get your attention, to make you feel sorry for me. But the Queen of Cups being in reverse, right? And the Four of Pentacles also in reverse, like I'm releasing or I'm letting go of something so that I can wallow in that pain, so the victim mentality or something similar to that. In Aries, I'm not calling you out, I'm just looking at the cards going, this seems to be some sort of reoccurring pattern here, where if I don't have, then you must feel sorry for me. And that kind of works for me because that's how I get things. That's how I get people to pay attention to me. That's how I get the distraction of people talking to me or bringing me places, right? But also coming about, like, there needs to be some sort of patience on the other side of that. Okay, there's this sound that seems like it's saying it's not how well you eat with the rich, but how elegantly you sit with the poor and broken. Right? Now, I'm not using that as a justification that this new path and this new way of excelling or, you know, ascending in its sense is negative, and that you're judged better by how you sit in that lower vibrational state. Let's not mix up vibrational states with status. Let's never do that. Because I've found some very, very profound, important information hiding in the most dark, raggedy places. Let's never mix up our vibration with what we wear and what we drive and, you know what I'm saying, who we hang out with. Let's not do that. It is the quality of the soul. Okay, so but here I see a little bit of patience traversing those hardships, right? So if we might have manifested a few times that we are lacked or we are without, or, you know, I don't have a ride to work, or I don't have a couch to sleep on, or I ain't got nothing to eat, right? That sitting with that and understanding that it's a consequence usually of repeating cycles that we have not broke out of, things that we refuse to change. We're not making the change, so the change is not coming to us. The more we change, the more we're capable of changing, the more you'll find that abundance is around every corner, especially when you're taking the turns that you're been instructed to take, right? But when we've sat in that energy to cry wolf or other things for a certain amount of time, you'll notice that the scarcity is just resounding. It's just like, you know, Pigpen on Charlie Brown, where the dust cloud just kind of follows him around for a little bit. Or when you're sad, they picture, you know, this little rain cloud just following you around for a little bit. You'll eventually step out of it. Divine purpose, patience, balance, divine intervention, even into a period of abundance. It is not how well you eat with the rich, but how elegantly you sit with the poor. So how do I humble myself? How do I accept responsibility and understand myself on a level, and my accountability for how I got there and how I continue to keep myself there, and as I'm working myself out, be proud of myself, but still taking accountability for why I was there in the first place, right? Without placing blame. Now, if I successfully traverse this, then I might find myself very divinely protected. These are major arcana. They're elegance. They are persistence. They are emotionally well, abundant. Sagittarius and some Taurus right there, right? So I'm thinking that there's a way to get through it without falling back on old patterns, or even patterns that we haven't necessarily gotten the cue to heal yet. But I think that when we fall back on them and we understand the detriment of utilizing those tools in that fashion, then we'll be able to better, grab it by the reins, grab it by the horns, and then force it into our potter's wheel. There's that Two of Pentacles in the reverse again. This is about focus. This is about drive. This is about determination. This is about not letting distractions deter us from the life that we really want and deserve, right? All right, Aries, that's pretty much all I have for you at this time. Sorry it was so hard on you. Sorry I was so hard on you. It was just the most important. It wasn't all Aries that I read for. It was just the squeaky wheel, the most important, right? Then we needed to go ahead and feed them and make sure that they're sated before we can move on to more jovial things like, should I date Billy Bob? Do you understand? All right, so until next time, please like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the read. If you did, hit the bell so you can be informed next time I upload. And until next time, Aries, thanks for stopping at Eyes to See Tarot. Hope to see you again real soon.